Hey guys, and welcome back to another super fresh video. I'm Plant Eats, and this is the Plant Eats YouTube channel. And I'm so happy you decided to click on this little video today. I was going through all the comments that you guys have been leaving, especially with regards to my last video on my age, exposing myself and letting you guys know how old I am, and wanting to sort of get back to some of you about the questions and comments you guys have been leaving. And I thought it was pretty important to do that. And also to say maybe up front that this isn't really about a number. It's about health. It's about how you feel and about how you can go about living your life in a functional and happy way. It's not to do with the number. So I really feel as though, as much as I wanted to use the number to sort of prove a point, I don't want it to be left that way. I don't want the impression to be that it's all about looking as young as you possibly can. There's so many things that go into determining how old a person looks. Diet, I think, is an important one, especially as we get older, but it isn't the only variable, so keep that in mind. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to answer some questions very specifically. People were asking about things like coffee, genetics, hair color, hydration, anti-nutrients, juicing, and smoothies. So I want to answer those questions, but before that, I just wanted to provide you with sort of an overview of the things that I do in order to live my healthiest. And I think when you're living your healthiest, when that's your aim in life, then you end up looking as young as you possibly can. So that would be my main message there. So I would say there's really three overriding factors to looking healthy and happy and young. And those three things probably are hydration, movement, and protection, sun protection. Those are the three things. So sort of within those three things, the things that I specifically do, number one is yoga. I'm talking about the sweaty, athletic, gymnastics, inversions, that sort of thing. That's the kind of yoga that I love. They're 90-minute classes. They are really grueling, and at the end of it, you just feel really well wrung out. So the things that I think lend a hand to looking your best and feeling your best from yoga include stretching. Look, if you're stretching your muscles, you're stretching your blood vessels. And I think that, if you can keep your blood vessels healthy, then that means you're healthy from the inside out, which is more important than your skin condition or anything like that. The other thing would be connectedness. I mean, yoga is a reflective practice. It's about feeling connected to yourself, feeling connected to others, feeling connected to the world around you. And being young is about being connected. Young people are so connected to the world. And as we get older, sometimes we feel a little more disconnected. So yoga can sort of bring that back, which I think is really, really important. And not to mention, it's good for just your mental health, right? That's as important as your physical health. Core. Yoga focuses on core strength. When you start working your core, you sit up a little taller, you walk taller, you feel like your stature is longer. And you don't notice that until you start focusing on your core. And once you do, you're thinking, man, I should have been doing this a long time ago. Sweating. I firmly believe that sweating 2 or 3 times a week is really, really good for you. I think this idea of flushing out your cells and rehydrating, that sort of tidal flow back and forth, I think there's something to it. Maybe I'm sounding like a hippie when I say that, but it really works for me. And my yoga is about compassion, and it's about cruelty-free. To me, yoga and veganism, for me, and there's not all yogis practice veganism, but for me, they go hand in hand, and so they just support one another really well. Another form of exercise movement that I've been doing since my early 20s. Some things have come and gone. I used to be a pretty active runner. I don't do that as much anymore, but I get out for long, long walks, which I think is equally as healthy, maybe healthier as we get older. But the other thing is weightlifting. And I even have my own home gym, and I've been working with weights for a really long time. And I do believe that weight-bearing exercises, especially as we get older, become really important, especially for bone density. Now, in terms of the specific type of diet that I follow, I will say this, that my diet has evolved quite a bit over the past 6 years on a vegan diet. Now it focuses on centering the diet around salads and soups, homemade salads, homemade soups. So in the very center of your plate is a very tall and wide salad with all kinds of stuff. I mean, a killer salad, okay? And then around that salad, you're gonna build other things for satiation. So things like, maybe you like falafel, maybe you like potatoes, rice, beans, maybe you like tofu and tempeh, seeds and nuts. So you sort of have your, wide and deep salad in the middle of your plate, and then around it some other things just to make you feel nice and full. And then also, because a lot of people complain of bloating, and that's something that I had experienced on my vegan diet when I first went vegan, putting soups into your diet is such a good thing to do, because if you do still feel hungry, you can fill up on soup, and it's a lot less bloating than if you're eating more and more fiber on fiber on fiber. Whoa, especially if you're not used to fiber, that can be an awful lot. And the third thing I want to emphasize here is sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Every day, all day, indoors, outdoors, wear what you like, what kind of sunscreen. You can use whatever you find sort of cosmetically appealing to you. You don't want to look super white, you don't want to look like you've got makeup on. So there's certain types that are maybe more appropriate for different skin types. You can get the spray, you can get the cream. For me, I've got like 5 different kinds at any one time, and depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing, I will use them accordingly. I think sunscreen is one of the easiest things a person can do to look better and to protect their skin, and I think it's one of the least utilized modalities for looking your best. Sometimes for vitamin D, I like to just sun my legs, my chest, my back, but I always put sunscreen on my face, my neck, my hands, and my arms, just because those are the parts of the body that you're going to be presenting to the world right through till, you kick the bucket. And those are things that are sort of telling of your age. So this is sounding a little vain, but I don't see there to be any problem just putting a little spray on your arms and your face and neck, going out in the sun, enjoying the sun. If you're out for any length of time, I like to wear a hat, just because I think that even if you have sunscreen on, it doesn't give you a license to be out, being in the sun for 3 or 4 hours at a time. But that's just what I've done. And I also now want to shift this to some questions that you guys have asked. Some people asked about coffee. Do I drink coffee? Occasionally. I like a half a cup of coffee, maybe a couple of times a week. I prefer decaf. I'm not into this, drinking 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. That's just me. I don't put anything in my coffee. I drink it black when I drink it. So that's sort of where I stand with coffee. I don't really drink a whole lot of tea either. Some people love tea, and I hear that green tea is very healthy. I don't really drink much of it personally. Genetics, people are asking if maybe part of the reason why they thought I looked younger was because of my genes, and I think that plays somewhat of a role. I will say this, I do have a twin brother, believe it or not, and some of you might have seen him in past videos. I will say this, I don't want to be anybody, please don't bash my brother. He's my twin brother, and obviously, he's my blood. So, but I will say this because I can say it. Please don't you say it, but I'll say it. I think I look better than he does. Another thing is hair color. No, I do not color my hair, and I don't really see myself coloring my hair. My personal view is when I see men with their hair color, you can tell their hair has been colored, and I find it works to almost make them look older. Hydration, my personal philosophy is, man, it's the water you eat, not the water you drink. And I think that's one of the reasons why a vegan diet lends itself to looking younger, because a vegan diet is so hydrating, and vegetables and fruits, they're filled with fluids. So I think that when it comes to a vegan diet, hydration is amazing. Anti-nutrients, phytates, I know there's people that in the comment section that want to talk about how beans and grains and these sorts of things all have anti-nutrients, and you can't get your iron, you can't get your calcium, you can't get your zinc. Well, look, don't worry about that. In my opinion, I don't worry about it. My attitude is make sure you have a diverse diet, have a nice range of foods to eat from, and you're going to get, well, I want to keep this personal here. I get plenty of nutrients. And don't forget, anti-nutrients like phytates are actually healthful too. There's 2 sides of every coin here. And studies have shown that phytates actually reduce the risk of cancer, and also I believe it's kidney stones. So I'll leave a link to some information about that down below, and you can read it yourself. I don't worry about phytates, my goodness. Juicing, it's just not for me. I had a Champion juicer way back in the day, and I was so excited to get it, and I used it for about 3 months. It was this really expensive juicer, and then I started feeling kind of worried that I was getting all this sugar, just guzzling sugar. Mind you, it was very healthy sugar, but it was sugar nonetheless, and I started worrying if that was going to cause some problems. So I stopped doing it. And so, you know, I know some people swear by it, and that's awesome for you, but I don't personally believe in juicing for myself. Smoothies, no, sort of along the same lines. If I'm going to have 500 or 600 calories, I want to enjoy those calories. Smoothies for me is I just guzzle it, and then I'm like, well, I'm still hungry. So if I'm going to, like I say, I'm older and I can, you know, I don't need a lot of calories at this stage of my life. So if I'm going to have 500 or 600 calories, I want to have the full experience of those calories. I want to be anticipating the food, preparing the food, chewing the food, taking the time to eat the food. I want the full experience. Smoothies just for me don't provide that. I think occasionally having a smoothie as a treat is fine, but for me, I don't really get into smoothies. Anyway, that was my video for today, guys. I really appreciate that you stopped by and said hello again. And if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to the Plan Eats YouTube channel, and while you're at it, press that little bell icon so you get notified every time I upload, and you get notified instantaneously of all my uploads. Remember, subscribing is free, so real easy to press that little subscribe button. And if you haven't already, start following me today on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I think I've got a Facebook account now too. And I look forward to seeing you right back here in a few days' time for another super fresh video.